Welcome to the 21st Century Female.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
My name is Benny.
And I'm Anna.
And together we are
Benana.
And we're so excited to have you guys here. So a little bit about this podcast is, so Anna and I have been friends for 18 years, and we're going to get into that story. It's pretty awesome. And, but we were sitting in our backyard, my backyard, which we do quite often with some whiskey, wine, and if we're trying to be healthy, then we just stick to hard seltzers. Yeah, okay. But we're sitting back.
100 calories.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, exactly.
It's not too bad.
So we're sitting there and we're talking about how proud we are of each other, and we're coming around to this topic of how there's so many females out there that don't really seem to want to encourage one another, and it always seems like it's a battle. And we wanted to change that. We want to be able to encourage women and just uplift each other, because I mean, she and I have her back, and we've had each other's back for years, and there's this toxic feminism that keeps running around, and just kind of being this
Just a different perspective in a way. Like, we have a lot of females or a lot of women out there. They're trying to put down other women as well, because it's not about just us. It's about everybody else who brought us to where we are, to where we want to be at. And that's another reason why we wanted to get our story out.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty amazing. And
yeah. And the whole thing about being a 21st century female is we don't have to be stuck in any sort of
rut.
Yeah. Well, there's so many people that are like, oh, if you don't want to have kids, shame on you. Oh, if you want to have kids, you're stuck. And no, it's
stereotypical
things. And like, oh, you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, or you're going to be trying to be a CEO. And the whole point is we get to be whatever we want to be as 21st century females.
You can be a stay-at-home mom, and you can embrace yourself, and you can still be strong.
Yeah, you can be strong, and you can be a hero to your kids. And so it's just this amazing thing that we realize that so many women out there, and men too, need to realize that the world's changing, and being a 21st century female that we've grown up, we realize there's nothing holding us back. So we're going to get into it, okay? So a little backstory about myself. I was born and raised in a small town in Michigan. I'm the youngest out of 5 kids, and my parents, shout out to them, they just celebrated their 51st wedding anniversary. We grew up on this little tiny small farm. We had horses and chickens, and we had a garden and everything, and my mom homeschooled us. My dad had his own business contracting, and I mean, growing up, I didn't realize how hard it was for them, and it just amazes me how amazing they did everything. So I ended up going to school, public school, in it was 10th grade up until senior high, and when I was was senior, I remember I was sitting there in the living room and painting the walls with my mom, and I got a phone call from the Army Army, and because I knew I wanted to do something. My parents weren't going to be able to pay for college, and I hadn't applied myself at all to get any grants or anything. So I was like, okay. And the recruiter, called, and he was just like, hey, so we're going to be able to give you a...
Sorry about the noises in the background. It's just our puppy
running around.
try to get our attention.
Yeah.
Continue on.
Yeah. So, I was just like, wait, so I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get job training, and I'm going to be able to serve my country, and I'm going to be able to travel. Yeah, sign me up. So I was only 17 at the time, so I actually had to convince my parents to sign me up for the Army. And that was a challenge in itself. But they finally,
Oh boy, the
oh my gosh,
army.
I know. So I my parents finally let me sign up, and on my 18th birthday, I left for basic training. So during basic training,
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna cut you off right here.
yeah,
Just to mention all of that stuff at the very beginning, um, to fast forward it to now, my best friend over here, Benny, she's an amazing Black Hawk helicopter pilot, and she does medevac everything or the medical evacuations for the different fires, like responds all throughout California, and just absolutely wonderful. Anyways, continue on with your basic.
yes. And so I went to basic training and went there for CBURN, which is chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear specialist. So went through that. So basic training itself was 13 weeks at the time, but for this specific job, it ended up being a 23-week stint with the same basic drill sergeants and the same class that you went through the whole entire time. So basically 23 weeks of basic training, boot camp for everybody else who...
Yeah, I need another sip of mimosa for this one.
I know, right? Oh, yeah. By the way, we're sitting in my friend's room right now recording this with mimosas. Woohoo, yay. So after basic training, I ended up getting stationed in Germany, which was amazing. So I showed up in Germany, and when you first get there to in process a new unit, you have like 2 weeks of in processing. You have to, where we were at in Hanau, Germany, there's a bunch of different bases, so it's not just one large base. It was so you had to travel from one place to another and sign in and give all your paperwork, and I had to take a driving test in German, and it was gosh, I mean, 18 years old and having all these responsibilities, I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with myself? So after the 2 weeks, they're just like, okay, you're all signed up and ready to go. Oh yeah, by the way, you got to go pick up this girl at the airport and walk her through everything that you just did. And I'm sitting there like, oh, okay, I have no clue what I'm doing. Like, I barely just got through this 2 weeks, and I'm like, and I don't remember where I went because I had somebody else walk me through everything. So I'm just like, oh crap, okay. So I go to the airport and I'm looking around and I see this girl with a big old bag and she's looking lost. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that must be her. Yay, because she looks just like I looked when I landed. So I go up to her and I'm like, are you Anastasia? And she's
And I
like,
was
yeah.
like, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, sorry to tell you, but I just got here 2 weeks ago and I really don't know what I'm supposed to do. But I think I can remember most of the stuff that we had to do, and I have a checklist. So let's just work on that. So she's like, okay.
Well, so to get to the Germany part, my little background is, I was born in Russia, the Soviet Russia, and we moved to Ukraine after the communism fell apart. So because like my family was in Ukraine, and we just really didn't want to deal with a lot of stuff. But I was young, and there's a lot of crazy memories, a lot of crazy stories that I can tell you at the later time. And then my mom, she gets a job in America, and she was like, hey, so I got this job, nursing at this nursing home with like Russian speaking people in America, and I'm able to get a visa. Do you want to come with me? And being like 16 years old at the time, I was like, hells yeah, I want to come with you.
Right?
Like it's America. Like in my head, like I built this whole wonderful thing. I was like, oh my god, there's so many different opportunities that I can do. And then it's like, and it's something different. And I don't even speak any English, but I'll figure out when I get there, right? And then so we finally moved. So it's me, my sister, my mom, and a cat, Bonia. So Bonia has, he's got a really sad story. He got stolen from us after we got to America. But anyways, and so it was really difficult time, like difficult way to actually travel to America and able to obtain a visa. We were actually slept for like 2 days outside of embassy in Warsaw, and barely any money. So, but we managed because my mom, my sister, and I, we have like this extreme, crazy bond that we just kind of took care of each other.
Yeah.
And whatever we did, no matter what situation we got, we were just all together.
And your mom is tough as nails.
Oh my
And
God, I love my mom.
Yeah.
She's absolutely wonderful person. And so we finally flew to America. You know, we got to New York City, and then we drove in this crazy like hot van. It's like one of our friends pick us up, and the van had no air conditioner and looked like one of those, you know, the white Dodge Ram van or something, like that look like you'll pick up some
a creeper.
like it literally had a couch in the back.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience. So we drove from New York all the way to Ohio, and I was like, oh my God, we're moving to America, and I ended up in Ohio. I love you, Ohioans. I love you out there, but it was very different in a way, because I was thinking it's like, oh, I'm gonna move to like California and be like a movie star. That's
all
image.
Americans are.
Yeah, that's the image that I created when I was a teenager. So anyways, so we were in Ohio, you know, I went to high school there and everything, barely spoken English, and I only knew how to say hi, bye, fuck you, and I'm busy.
Yeah. Well, there's all the important things, right? I think that's the first language you learn, or you know, the first words you learn in any language is like the curse words.
Yeah. And then, so I graduated and I got this job at the bank. And one day, so we got robbed. And so this guy literally had a jacket. He had a jacket and put his finger, or gun, whatever he wants to name it.
Right.
So he put it into like his jacket, and he came to my window and he slipped me a note and saying like, oh, you getting robbed, give me all your cash. And I just kind of looked at him, and I looked at the finger or the gun that he was pointing
in his
at
pocket,
me in his pocket through his jacket.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's no gun, but you can have cash anyways.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not risking my life.
Yeah, exactly.
So after the police interview and everything, like after the robbery, because everybody's like, why are you so calm? I was like, well, you don't even know where I came from.
Right? Yeah.
So I evaluated my life. Pardon about this text message. So I evaluated my life, and I said, like, what am I doing? Like, am I really want to depend on my parents the whole time? I was like, my mom is here by herself with 2 kids.
Well, and your mom moved to a different country with 2 young girls, you know, and she's done everything for you, you know, and you're just like, yeah, my mom deserves me to take care of her.
Exactly. So, and it's like, what am I really doing? Like, do I want a guns pointing at me the whole time? I was like, no, but I'll just join the military, I guess.
Yeah.
Contradicting in a way.
I know, right?
So anyways, I went to Recruiter because I wanted to find my own path, and I felt that at that time that was my way, a ticket out, to find my own path, to break away from mom, and in the end being able to take care of her.
Oh, and by the way, 18 years later, she has her master's degree. And
you can read it.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I'm like, I don't remember what your master's degree is, so I actually have to read it. It's in non-proliferation and terrorism studies. I mean, I'm just like, who does that? You know, I'm like, that's amazing. But now she is an emergency management specialist for a department in NASA. You know, I'm just like, gosh, like, coming from Russia, not speaking English, and learning all this stuff, and now you're just such a freaking badass.
No,
it's amazing.
Hello, goodbye,
and fuck you.
Fuck you.
Yeah, so
I'm busy.
Yeah, so you know, that's where she is right now. So gosh, yeah, so you ended up joining the military.
Yeah, so I went to see a recruiter, and basically the guy's like, well, if you sign up as a Chem Bio Rad Nuclear Specialist, you can leave in 2 weeks. And I was like, hells yeah, sign me up. That sounds cool.
Yeah, right?
It's definitely a mouthful.
Yeah.
And so I joined the military, and like I went to get a haircut. Oh, by the way, last time I got a haircut when I was like 13, and I was growing out my hair since 13, and I'm 18 at the time. So I had this beautiful like golden locks.
Oh, yeah.
All the way down like past my butt.
Oh, she's typical Russian, blonde hair. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no, Ukrainian.
Oh, yeah, Ukrainian.
Get it right.
Yeah, born in Russia, but Ukrainian.
So, and then so I had this beautiful locks, and in my culture, like really long hair, like very valued, because it's the braids and everything. It's just like it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And then I got home, and Mom's like, "Oh, how's your day?" I was like, "Well, I went to sign up for the army. I'm leaving in 2 weeks. I went to the
Salon.
Salon, and went to the mall." And she's like, "You got a haircut. Where are your hair?" Oh, by the way, all my hair is virgin hair, so I donated it.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. She was like, "I'm losing my baby. You can't go away," and this and that. But she was very, very supportive at the end.
Wow.
So I went to Missouri for the basic and
Same as
AIT.
me.
Yeah, and then as a
Yeah.
Chem Bio Rad Specialist.
Well, the funny story about her haircut is like she and I both had these like odd little things that we thought we had to do. She thought she had to cut her hair to be able to join the military. Like, oh my gosh, I have to cut my hair. Where I'm like sitting over here and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have to get a green toothbrush and I have to get green razors and a green washcloth because I'm like, I don't want anything pink or pretty because I'm going to get picked on. And like all these weird things. And then I get there to basic training and everybody's got their loofahs and their pink and purple. And I was like, I'm a weirdo. I'm like, I had no idea what I was getting into, and neither did she.
Yeah. And after basic training, there's like a lot of cute little stories and sad little stories that we'll get into in a later time. Basically, it's building a character, and I hated basic training, but then I also loved how rewarding it was.
Yeah, it was so hard, but being able to come out on the other end and realize how strong you really are is just phenomenal.
And what you can overcome.
Oh, yeah.
Just by being pushed and pushed and pushed. And your mindset, it's not like brainwashing, but your mindset just changes to, I am strong.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can overcome this cold. And oh my God, I'll tell you later.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you later about our little incident where it was like rained and everything got frozen the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, and after basic training, I got orders to go to Germany. I was like, yay! I'm 19 years old. I get to go to Europe.
Yeah.
I'm European.
You're like,
that's what happens. And so I flew to Germany with one huge bag of my life. Actually, the bag that I brought to Germany was way bigger bag that I brought to America with me.
Well, because you had all your gear with you too.
Yeah. And then I flew to Germany the first day. I went to the bathroom. Like as soon as we get on an airplane, you go to the bathroom, and the toilets flush like the opposite way. Like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I'm home.
Right?
I was like, America's weird. So I was like, I'm home. I'm finally in Germany. So, and after that, I was like, holy crap, I don't know what to do. Like, yeah. I don't know who to report to. I had no instructions. I was like, so I got out with a huge military bag, and I'm like,
sitting there looking lost.
And then so this wonderful young girl comes up to me, and she's like, are you Anna? I'm like, yes. And she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And well, guess we have to figure it out together.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, oh gosh, and then Germany. Oh man. So, we actually ended up having a fantastic time in Germany. When we first both got there to our unit was currently deployed to Iraq, and they were supposed to come back in a month. And so we're just like, oh, okay, let's, we're
Hear
gonna,
the mimosa pouring.
oh yeah, fill up the mimosa. And then, so we weren't going to go join them on deployment. So they're like, oh, they're coming back in a month, so you're just going to stay here. Well, then they ended up getting extended for another 2 or 3 months. So we just ended up sitting back there in Germany with a small detachment. And all we ended up doing is helping out other units with tasks that they had to do, and beautification. You know, they're like, hey, you have this task to get all the grass out of here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. And we did. You know, we found a way. We used our own nail files, and we did it. But
it was we made it fun because we were making dad jokes, and and plus I barely spoke any English at the time too, and we were there together. We were doing, call it like grunt work.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and funny story about Anna's accent. So this one time, when we first joined, it was
not this.
Yeah. We were in BDUs, and so we had the black boots and the old BDU style uniform, and the boots, we have to shine them all the time. And I remember asking her, I was like, hey, I'm going to go to dinner. Do you want to come with me? It was like a Sunday night, and every Monday morning we have like inspection. You have to make sure your uniform's perfect and everything's super shiny. And I'm sitting there, and, you know, I'm like, hey, do you want to go to dinner? She's like, no, I got to shine my butts. And I was like, and I'm...
No, I got to shine my butts.
Yeah.
Okay, my butts.
Yeah, and I was like, and I'm sitting there and, you know, being 18 and maybe thinking like, you know, I'm like, how do you shine your butt? And like, should I be shining my butt? You know, like,
No,
I had no idea.
You get black butt polish.
Yeah, and she's like,
you own a cotton, and then you shine a butt.
And I was like, your boots. You have to shine your boots. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay.
I was having a really hard time over like saying BOO.
Yeah.
Like, now I can say boots.
Yeah.
Boots.
But but it was so funny because like I remember thinking like, should I be shining my butt? Like, what does that mean? You know? I'm like, oh my gosh, so crazy. So we're in Germany. Like our day-to-day job is just, you know, busy work. We're cleaning around the area, helping out. Anna ended up getting a job with Yellow Ribbon.
Yeah, so Yellow Ribbon Room, it's basically back in the day, like early 2000s, we didn't have, you know, social media, video chats, or any way to contact the loved ones back that are deployed to Iraq.
Yep.
And
no cell phones.
Yeah, so I got this, actually, the gig was pretty nice, even though I did work night shifts, but the importance of it, you can't go to sleep, because if that phone rings, you have to answer it. Like, so I ended up watching a lot of movies.
Yep.
But the Yellow Ribbon Room is absolutely wonderful space for the soldiers and the family members, because they're able to come in. We're able to do the video recordings for like happy birthday, or here's your child.
Yeah, your new child that you weren't able to see born, and
then the guys and gals back, like, they're deployed, they can able to record it as well, and then they can watch it on big screen. And they had like birthday parties there. They had barbecues. They had all the wives and husbands like come together. And just enjoying and relating to everything. Yeah. But during the night, oh my god, it was so creepy, because it was in the old German barracks.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of haunting stuff over there.
Yeah, and it was just really creepy, and I really had to have the movie on because there are a lot of different noises.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't want to hear them. I was like, I don't want to hear them.
All I want to hear is that little ring on the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
In case happens.
Yeah. But so gosh, we had so much fun in Germany. So we, on our weekends off, one weekend we ended up going to Oktoberfest, and
oh my god, not that story.
Oh yes, we're going there.
Wait, can we talk about your red car? car.
Oh my gosh. So
That
I
head into Oktoberfest.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, let's go to Oktoberfest. It was like a 3-hour drive, and we jumped into my little Mazda MX-3 two-seater stick shift, and oh my gosh, the best thing is it had like this big old subwoofer in the back, and it had a 6 CD changer.
I love it.
It was so awesome. Like, it was the coolest thing ever. I thought, I was like, I have made it.
And we
I'm an adult,
actually-
and I have like a 6-disc CD changer in the back. So you have to open up the trunk and put the CDs in the back, and then up front you can sift through and be like, I want to listen to CD 1
And then we
2.
actually listened to all 6 CDs driving from Frankfurt to Munich.
Probably a few times.
And we were like, we don't have to actually change the CD.
I
We're like
know.
so mind blown.
Yeah,
at the
and I
time.
think we only had 6 CDs, so yeah, it worked out.
That's all we could afford.
I know. So we ended up getting to Oktoberfest, and gosh, it was so much fun, because you hear about, Oktoberfest, yeah, amazing, and I mean, like, instead of huge roller coasters and stuff, they had some roller coasters there, but it was just these huge beer tents, and it was
the
phenomenal.
The
Oh my gosh.
food was, we're such a foodies.
Yeah. So, we ended up going into the one of the bar tent, and I think it was like Paulner's beer. Yeah, or something like that. But it
I
was,
think it was some,
yeah.
not St. Paul's girl, because that's not an
No,
alcoholic.
I know, right? So basically, you have the girls.
Half a brow.
I don't remember.
Okay.
We have the mugs though, because we kind of stole them. But don't tell anybody. But you would go in there, and the ladies would come out with like 6 beers in each hand, and they're the 3 beer size mugs, and so she would come out, and you'd have to like go and throw money at her and grab a beer, because we were sitting and waiting at a table, and she never came to our table. So I was like, okay. And they're like, no, you got to go get it. So I we're all small and stuff. So I run underneath, people, and I go and I pop up right underneath her, and I throw the money at her, and I grab 2 beers and I run. I was like, yay, we made it. So, then we started drinking and got even more crazy. So we're sitting there and we're like, oh, we want to take these, beer mugs and keep them. And so, Anna goes out on the other side, because there was just like these little fences to keep you in, and you weren't supposed to take your beer mugs out. But then we saw a few people, and they had their beer mugs, and we're like, well, how'd they do that?
They were passing underneath the fence.
Underneath, yeah.
So we were watching them. We're like, wait, we can do that too.
So I sent Anna out. I was like, you go outside and I'll pass them underneath. So we did that, and we ended up just walking around with our big old beers, and I mean, we had so much fun. But we were also broke, and so we couldn't afford a hotel. So we
stayed in the car.
Yeah.
So we had like a couple blankets that we brought with us, and we actually the car was, because
after it took us maybe a couple hours to find the car, because we forgot where we parked it.
Oh my God,
I remember the street name, but then I realized that it was like, there's a bunch of street names that sounded just like that, and I was like, oh crap.
So, and then we finally found a car, and because both of us are 5'2".
Yep.
And we fit perfect in those seats. And we're like, oh yeah, let's sleep it off.
Yep.
And so the next day we woke up, and just we were just perfectly fine, and because it's young
Well, it was also probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon the next day too, when we finally woke up. And so then we ended up driving back, and I mean, gosh, that was such an amazing story, or fun
the
time.
It was appreciation of the German culture, and the whole Oktoberfest. It was just we're very young, hence the drinking age is 18.
Well, the drinking age is 16 over there. By the way, we used to got carded, and I was like, but I'm 18, and you think I'm 15? Yeah. I was like, oh man, I'm so disappointed, but
yeah. So, and then we had our travels throughout Germany, went to different places.
There, the cool thing about Germany is every weekend there was a festival somewhere. And so, we would just find a festival in the area, and we would end up going to it, and we'd take the train, and we would just travel and try and see as many sites as we could. And then the Army has this program for single soldiers to be able to go to different places. And so they had this Spain trip, and it was like a
It was
long bus ride.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like a double-decker bus.
yeah, and so we get, it was like $200 for a 4-day weekend in Spain. That covered the bus, the hotel, and I mean, I was insane. I was just like, oh yay,
It was expensive
for us, yeah, because that was like
in early
half my paycheck
2000s.
for a whole month, and so we ended up going to the bus, and we got in the second story of the bus and all the way at the front, so it was just like this big window, and we decided to pregame and drink Jack and Cokes. And so we're like, oh, we'll just swig some Jack and then swig some Coke, and because we didn't bring any cups or anything, and we had
And then Anna got a brilliant idea.
Oh gosh, Anna, no.
We had the Camelback, the one with the bladder
yeah.
and stuff. So, and we just kind of like poured our drinks into the Camelback and sit back, enjoy the view, and just like.
Yeah. The ride was so long, we got drunk, and then we had a hangover, and then we got drunk again. That's how long it was just to get to Spain on the bus ride.
But surprisingly, like once we got to Spain, we're kind of like, okay, we don't really want to drink that much.
Yeah.
We just wanted to enjoy the life. We wanted to enjoy the stories and everything.
Well, I mean, they had these amazing, like, fruity, fun drinks that are, like, 3 feet tall, maybe 2 feet tall. These huge, yummy, beach drinks. And you just go, they had them at, like, like, kind of like a food truck, but it was like a drink truck. And they had that, and...
So we were in Costa Brava. We ended up in Costa Brava, and we're like, okay, so now what we're going to do? And we saw this parasailing.
Yeah.
Parasailing, and we're like, oh my god, I want to do this, but it's so expensive.
Yeah.
I can't afford it.
Yeah, I think it was like $90 for 2 of us to go, and I think we ended up convincing them to get both of us to go for €35.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
that was great. And then we went to Barcelona. Wait, for Spaniards out there, it's Barcelona. Right? It's right.
Yep.
Okay, so we went to Barcelona, and we ended up going to a bullfight because we had a couple tickets. They were free. Go to the bullfight, and we were just so sad. It's after seeing. I appreciate the culture. I appreciate what they were trying to do and everything. But for me, seeing an animal get brutalized like that, it was just...
Well, I mean, it was an experience, and, we're just like, oh, yeah, let's see a bullfight, but it was very anticlimactic. It seemed like it was rigged, and so we're just kind of like, oh, okay. And then there was like 12 or 15 bullfights that were supposed to happen that day. And so
we decided to leave.
Yeah, so we saw the first one, and we're like, oh, and then the second one started to happen, and it was like the same exact thing, happening again. And I was like, okay, this is boring. So we ended up leaving, and we just walked around Barcelona and just, saw the beautiful city. I love that place. It's so gorgeous.
I know. We went to Knight's dinner. No, what the...
Oh yeah, it's
the medieval
medieval
dinner.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So we were at medieval dinner.
So it's like this arena in the center, and it has a bunch of it's like a stadium. So then there's like seats all around, and then they have this show scene and everything like that. And there was a guy who...
You talking about the guy on a white horse?
Yes.
Oh my god. So ladies, strap it in. Put these seatbelts on.
Yeah, exactly.
So this guy, imagine this beautiful like shirt, but it's all unbuttoned, and he just like golden locks and just like humping. Humping.
Riding his horse.
Right. Yeah, that one. So he's like riding his horse, and he just looking for his princess in the crowd.
Yeah.
And then he like comes off of his horse, and he just like walks into the crowd, and then looking at everybody, and all the like mesmerized eyes, like, oh,
Pick me.
And then he just locked his eyes with me,
And I'm just like, oh my god, Anna, he's staring at you.
I was like, no, he's looking at me.
Yeah.
What? So, and he reached his hand out and said something in Spanish, and I was like, hablo poquito español. He's like, come with me, princess. Well, obviously in Spanish accent, not the Russian one. And then I was like, okay. So I got, he put me down,
into the arena. So
yes, thank
walked
you.
her down into the arena.
I got a little bit into my head.
I know.
There.
She's like, oh my God, he was so dreamy.
Yeah, so he got me into arena, and these crazy guys just ran out and grabbed me.
Yeah, the bad guys go and come and rip her away from him, and he's like, oh, and they're fighting, and then they go and take her into a freaking pen.
Oh my God, no,
or a cage. It was like a jail. Yeah, it was like
I ended up being
cage.
locked in a cage in the middle of Barcelona.
Yeah.
So, and then he comes and rescues me, and we take pictures. He gives me a kiss on the cheek, and
it's so romantic.
There it was.
Yeah.
So, anyways, after our crazy trip to Spain, obviously we had a lot of other travels and everything, but
all over Germany,
a lot of the fun and a lot of bad stories that we'll get to in later kind of had to come to an end.
Yep.
Because that's what that's where our duty is.
Yeah.
We have to follow orders, and we have to go somewhere else.
So the unit that was deployed in Iraq, they came back, and shortly after, our unit ended up getting disbanded. So it was basically just going to be gone. So the last few months, we ended up, because we were there for a year and a half total, just under 2 years or so, and we had to like get rid of all our equipment and dish it out to other units that were still in Germany. And then at the end of that, we all ended up getting different, stations. So I ended up going to Fort Riley, Kansas, and
I went to Texas, Fort Hood, Texas, and I did not get along with a lot of people in Texas, and there was
in the military sense. So it was the unit. It's not like, oh, Texans, but it was she had a lot of struggles in Texas alone, and we'll definitely be diving into those.
And that's where I started school. Because of those troubles. It just kind of pushed me to strive my way forward. It pushed me to like, hey, it's not about fun and peaches. You have to get your shit together.
Right, exactly.
And then after Texas, I got orders to go to Hawaii, which was amazing. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, right? Like, oh, darn, I have to go to Hawaii.
But the way I got to Hawaii, it's a crazy, crazy story. I don't know. Should I tell it right now? Or?
No, we'll tell it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
After Hawaii, I went to Washington State. So I went to Washington State, and I got deployment orders to go to Iraq. And so my mom, at the time, I didn't have Facebook. I had MySpace.
Yeah.
With like all the little cute little emojis and
the little
else,
things that would come on the back,
oh my God,
on the background.
It's terrible.
Oh yeah, terrible.
So my mom, she's like, hey, you need to get Facebook because I'm on Facebook. And I was like, what's Facebook? Like, I don't want to get Facebook. Anyway, so she's like, I need to keep an eye on you, so you just post a couple pictures here and there. So I did. I got Facebook. I went to Iraq, and I posted this picture of me in front of Saddam's palace.
And then, so my story, I ended up getting stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas, and I met a boy, and he's like, oh, let's get out of the military, because we were just coming up on our 3 years, commitment, and he's like, oh, move back to California with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, California, of course. Yeah, so no longer with that guy. We can always get into that story. But so I moved to California with him, and I decided to join the National Guard in California. So it's still Army, but it's like the 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year commitment that you have with the National Guard. And so went to the National Guard and moved to California, got some jobs. I was a live-in house parent for autistic adults in Malibu, which was amazing experience. And then my unit, because the National Guard still deploys as well. So the unit that I was with, they were deploying, and just like Anna's mom, my mom's like, hey, you need to get Facebook while you go deploy because I want to keep tabs on you. And I was like, okay, whatever this Facebook thing is. So I'm like, okay. And I go on, and of course, Faith's like, hey, you might know this person. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I see a picture of Anna, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you. Because this is like
2009.
Yeah, it was 2009.
Yeah.
So it was about 4 years later. And we hadn't, talked to each other just because we didn't really have cell phones at the time. And email was the only thing that we had, to keep in touch. So Facebook, we're just like, oh my gosh. And I see a picture of her in front of Saddam's palace. And I was like, oh my gosh, when are you in Iraq? I'm here now. She's like, I'm here now. And I'm just like, what? Where are you at?
So she basically said, okay, let's meet up. I have this barbecue that I have to go to.
Yep.
And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so I have this time off and I have this barbecue to go to as well, but it's a bit different.
Yeah, so I had to be going to the barbecue at 6 to help set up and everything. And she's like, oh, well, I'm supposed to go to my barbecue at 8. And I was like, well, perfect. If you can get off early, come with me to my barbecue, and then we'll go to your barbecue. So we ended up going, and it was set up by some of the local vendors there. And we ended up realizing that it was the same barbecue.
So it didn't even matter if we got Facebook or not.
We would have ended up seeing each other at this barbecue
and I was like,
4 years later.
God. And so the guy that was actually Alex, he was actually that running the whole venue.
Yeah.
And he looked at us and he was like,
well, because we met outside and we're like, oh my gosh, hugging and like laughing and talking. And we walk in together and he puts out his finger and like points back and forth to us. And he's like,
that makes sense.
Yeah. He's like, I've known both of you for, a while now. And he's like, oh yeah, the fact that you two know each other totally makes sense. I was like, oh my gosh.
I was like, wait. What are you saying? Like, I was like, you guys are sisters.
Yeah, you guys are two peas in a pod, exactly the same.
Like,
so
cut from the same cloth from a different ends.
Yeah, but so we ended up just hanging out in Germany and like as much as we could, or not Germany, Iraq.
Get back into it.
I know. What story am I telling again?
Too many mimosas.
I know, right? Just cut back on the mimosas. So in Iraq, obviously we're a lot more busy, but we ended up only being like a quarter mile away from each other, where our sleeping quarters were. So we tried to meet up as much as possible, and being on Facebook and everything, and reconnecting, and just realizing that we still love each other, and we're we're still good friends. So
the Iraq experience, I probably will be able to get into it at a later time, but it brings a tear to my eye. I don't. Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah.
So after Iraq, I went back to Washington, and I got my bachelor's degree in forensic psychology in Washington.
Yep.
And hence doing all of those deployments and everything else. Then I got got orders to North Carolina. And I went to Afghanistan from North Carolina. And after Afghanistan, I really wanted to get my master's degree. So I wasn't able to get my master's degree while I was on active duty because it was a very specialized degree that I wanted to get. And out of 4,000 applicants, only 40 of us got selected.
That's so amazing.
I got in. I was like, hells yeah. I don't know. Oh my God. My doggy's freaking out over here. So, and then I finally was able to move from North Carolina to California to get my master's, and it was a crazy times, and I moved to California, and I was like, wait a minute, Benny is in California too.
Yeah. So after Iraq, I came back to California, and I ended up getting a full-time job working with the National Guard, which is such an amazing ability to be able to do because California has a lot of really great missions. We have the fire mission. We go and help support putting out the fires, supporting local businesses to keep them safe from looters and everything when places get closed down and evacuated from fires. So I was currently with the military police, and they had the Homeland Response Force, which is basically kind of it preps everybody in events of the fires, or if there's a disaster,
Hazmat disaster,
hazmat disaster, or if there's like an earthquake. And so we do these huge scale events to get National Guardsmen, firefighter, police, and all this other stuff, all these other agencies and entities working together so that we can, like do these missions and help out people as soon as an incident happens. And it's such an amazing program because a lot of times with the police don't know what the military has to offer, and so we get to work side by side and do all these things. So I ended up getting a job as a planner with the military police to plan these events.
And hence all of the stuff that she just explained, that she's also a Black Hawk helicopter pilot on the side with the National Guard, hence the full-time duty that she was getting with plans.
Yeah, so I forgot that step. So before I got the planning job, I put in my packet to go to flight school with the Army, and I got accepted. And so they're like, hey, can you leave in 3 months? And I was like, oh my gosh. So flight school was a year and a half long in Alabama, and it was the hardest year and a half of my life, but the most rewarding because I'm just like, they paid for me and trained me to fly helicopters. I mean, just like, I'm like, what in the world is going on here? Me flying helicopters? And
Wait, did you have books under your butt?
no, but I had to get a cushion so that I could see better. So I use a cushion every time I fly so that I can be up a little bit more. And but yeah, so yeah, I do have a cushion. But I'm still able to do the job, okay? And I'm pretty cool at it. So on my part-time job with the military, I get to fly, and then my full-time job with the military, I was a planning officer. So I, moved back to California from flight school, got this planning job, and Anna's like, hey, you're in California, right? I'm over here in Monterey getting my master's degree. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, hey, you need to come visit. And we were having a Halloween party coming up.
Yeah, so the first year of my grad school, because I started in August, and I decided, finally, I was dating this guy that we'll get into it later.
Yeah. Or not. We can just ignore the fact that he ever existed too.
Well, the two.
Yeah.
So anyways, and I drove from Monterey all the way to, Fairfield, and ended up being meeting a lot of great people, and I was like, oh my God, Benny,
Yeah.
and then meeting a lot of great people.
Oh, so real quick, by the way, my first name is actually Laurel, but because of my last name and basic training, they ended up saying hey, you're gonna either go by Hauser or Benny, and so I picked Benny. So that's why Anna calls me Benny all the time.
So I came to the Halloween party, and I was like, oh my God, Benny! And she's like, ah.
I haven't been called Benny in years.
Since Germany.
Yeah, since Germany. Yeah.
And it ended up on the same Halloween party. It was the National Guard recruiter, because I joined the California National Guard because I didn't want to leave the Army completely when I wanted to go to grad school, because I love the Army, all of the stuff that brought to me.
Yep.
And so I joined the National Guard in lieu with grad school. And the recruiter for the National Guard was at that party.
Yeah, it was my roommate's boyfriend at the time, which was just she's like, why is my recruiter here? And I'm like, what? I'm like, what a small world. This is insane.
Yeah, so, and then after the Halloween party, I got to meet a lot of people. I met Jackie. Oh, I met Jackie.
My sweet angel.
Yeah, well, Jackie's gonna have to be a separate episode.
Yep.
We love Jackie, and please tune in for the Jackie episode eventually.
Definitely.
So, after, oh my God, I'm getting into tears.
I know.
I'm sorry. Okay,
know.
so listen to the Jackie episode.
Yep.
So anyways, after the Halloween party, after did the whole thing with grad school,
Graduated.
I graduated, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell am I gonna do now? I was looking and applying. So they always hype it up. It's like, oh, you get all this beautiful job after graduating and this and that.
Except you need experience. And
yeah.
how do you get experience? Yeah.
So anyways, so I was able to get a job full-time army, but working for National Guard. And because they needed the CBRN analyst experience at the higher level. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do like planning job and everything. And I called Benny because it was very close to her house. And I was like, hey, so I got this job, and I start tomorrow, but can I come crash with you like once in a while, because I live like 3 hours away and I just cannot commute.
Yeah, so
like
I was
6
like,
hours
hell
a day.
yeah, you get to live with me during the week.
Yeah, and then she also was like, wait, what job did you get?
Yeah, I was like, oh, what job did you get? That's so cool. She's like, oh, I'm at this job in Fairfield, and I was like, with the National Guard. I was like, that's where I work. What job did you get?
It's like, well, I think it's like planning job. I might be doing some emergency response planning for like different like fire departments and National Guard and this
And I was enlisted before, and now I'm a chief warrant officer, and so I was like, and we were looking for a new NCO to be able to fill this spot.
Non-commissioned officer.
Non-commissioned officer. And I was like, are you my new NCO? And she's like, what? And I'm like, your desk is right next to mine, and we're going to be working on all the... Yeah, so we, like, without us trying at all, she ended up getting hired and getting stuck with me.
I love to be stuck.
I know.
I want to be stuck by you. Doo-doo. Nobody else but you.
So
Good thing that I don't have a singing career.
Yeah, I know, right? So we ended up working on these amazing projects, and we did this really huge exercise. I'll let you talk about it because you finished it. I started it with you, and then and we did. I mean, it's a year-long planning process, but I ended up getting a full-time job with aviation unit, and so they're like, hey, can you come over here and work with us full-time? So I was like, okay. So I ended up leaving that job as planning after Anna got there. We were working on it for a year. So then Anna was able to finish the exercise.
Yeah, so the exercise was actually absolutely wonderful. Well, it ended up being wonderful, but It was a lot of hiccups and everything. But how it comes with any kind of event planning. So we brought all of these emergency responders together, all of this like different agencies,
police, fire,
and then I wrote a scenario for it. And we created this wonderful exercise in Sacramento for just collaboration. It wasn't just like, oh, hey, this is your team and your team only. No, is we picking and choosing all the people and just kind of barging them together.
Yeah.
Because
so we'd have like, some police with some Army personnel going in and clearing rooms, and some fire people rescuing people with side by side with some of the Army guys, and and we train right next to each other so that we can figure out how to how the civilian agencies run these scenarios and how they operate so that the Army can do better.
Yeah, well, one of the aspects of that exercise was because during a huge disaster, huge response, you're not going to be there with your team all the time. So how do you pick people and then take them out of the comfort zone and throw them with somebody else? And it's kind of like, hey, work it out.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's enough about the actual exercise. I'm getting a little bit nerded out.
Yeah, I know, right?
Here.
Stop nerding.
And one of the really cool aspects about this exercise is I got hoisted up. Well, got like strapped to the cord, and this Black Hawk helicopter was like flying over top of me.
She's on top of the Arco Arena
in Sacramento.
So on top of the building.
Yeah, and so I got like strapped in and got hoisted up into the Black Hawk helicopter by medical personnel because it was training. And guess who's flying that freaking helicopter?
That'd be me. So it was amazing because like part of the scenario was there was injured people, and then the people had to get transported to like the Kaiser hospital. And so our unit, my helicopter aviation unit, we are medevac, and so we do all those triages and transport people from the scene to the hospital. So we were doing shuttles of people and working with the hospital as well, and they were triaging the people, and so it was awesome. So they're like, hey, you know, like we need somebody to go hoist some people off the top of the building, and I was like, okay, you know, like my team will go do it. And I go and they hoist people up, and I turn around and I'm like, hey, that's Anna. That was so awesome.
Yeah. So I'm pouring another mimosa because
I want more too.
Of course you get in one.
Yay!
Of course you are. So the thing is, wait, that's your line.
That's my line.
I'm sorry. Okay, check this out.
Check this out.
Check this out.
Yeah.
So the moral of this whole story, it's not about extreme happiness. It's not about like extreme downfall.
Yeah.
The moral is we had each other.
Yeah.
Like no matter what crazy stories that we get into, we had each other.
Yeah.
But it's not just each other. We had other people, like other people that are really helping us in a way into our journey and really just enjoying. Well, I don't want to say enjoying.
Well, so I mean, so what she's trying to say. So we
Yes,
had,
thank you.
yeah, we
As
had.
I'm pouring mimosas.
So we had. Obviously, a lot of trials taught us very, very valuable lessons. So being able to try and focus on the good things that you can learn from every experience and be better at what you do and create yourself to be a better person is what it's all about. And we want to be able to encourage people to just be themselves, you know.
Or you can be true to yourself, love yourself, be the change, be the 21st century female.
Hell yeah.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.